trio with Alex and Desmond, I guess we've been playing for about 3 years now, and it's one of my favorite groups to play because there's a lot of freedom within that band. We can sort of explore and do whatever we want musically, and there's a lot of trust, and it always seems to work out somehow, and we reach new places every time we play.
Sometimes I'll write out actual notes that I want Desmond to play. Sometimes I'll just write an idea that captures a certain spirit that I want him to go by. And generally that's how I approach it, because I don't like to dictate too much to them. I trust their musical instinct enough to just give them an idea of what I want and let them take it from there. And I think that's what's really beautiful about the group, is we all trust each other.
Some drummers, as soon as things get a bit loose, they're uncomfortable. He's totally comfortable in that territory. And we've definitely had some fun times and some degrees of success and some not so successful ventures in exploring those moments where maybe it's not exactly clear where the beat is, but we trust each other that we'll find our way back.
Yeah, sometimes, we'll get lost, but I think that's part of the fun of it, I think it's very important to know where you are, but at the same time, if you don't, it's more important to listen and to collectively figure out how to get out of a situation where maybe one person's not, the same place as another. But I think that's where the real music happens. Is we train so well to play over standards, to play over chord changes, but we're not working on the times where we slip into an area of unknown. And I think some of the most creative things happen in those moments. I think it was David Liebman who said, if you're not getting lost at least one time per song, you're not trying hard enough. And I always thought that was funny, but true. And then from there, it stays up there for just like free blowing or whatever.
Okay, great.
And then when we did that transition back to 26, we opened that up for you.
Okay.
If you wanted to do that, and then.
Okay. So 26 will be open on the way out.
Yeah. And then when I come back in after you're blowing, there's just one time through and go on.
Okay.
Do you want to try going from the top to the bottom? So that should be fine. So when are you free to go out and see some properties? Yeah. Okay. This afternoon's a little hectic for me, but why don't we say tomorrow morning? How does 10 a.m. sound? Good? Okay, let me grab your email, and I'll just send you a confirmation a little bit later. I'll put together a route for us, and I'll let you know our meeting place for tomorrow morning.
Alex, nice to meet you. Thanks for meeting me.
So how's business been? Are you getting calls?
Yeah, this month was a little slower. I kind of lagged on. It's busy, but I just at the beginning of the month, between moving and kind of getting myself situated and closing up things from last month, that I didn't get to jump on my advertising like I did in March. But a couple weeks ago was one of the most stressful days I've ever had. So it was not this past Friday, but the Friday before that. We get to the walkthrough, and we do the walkthrough up in Inwood. Everything looks great, blah blah blah. They sign the forms, and then they show me the checks that they're supposed to bring to management. They're bank certified checks, and it's made out to the wrong people. We had to go to each person's bank to exchange the checks. So I had to rent a zip car up in Inwood. Thankfully, I had a zip car account. Darted down to 50th and 8th to the first person's bank, across town to 43rd and Madison to the other person's bank, and then straight up to Great Neck. So when we get there, and they're behind schedule, I had to be in Westchester by 4. So we finished the lease signing, and they almost didn't get to move in because the management was like asking for something else that the guarantor needed to bring or something. So we finished the lease signing after 2, and I just sped back to Inwood to return the car. And then I had to run over to the bus to catch the crosstown bus to go to the Metro North at Fordham, and just caught the right train to get up at large amount of time to teach. And it was like one of the most stressful days I've ever had to deal with,
Killing.
I was just like spent after that. Sick. But so that was fine, and I'm trying to pick everything back up, and it's just this month I'm trying to focus on my saxophone for the CD release and just getting everything ready for that. So that's kind of my main priority right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah. I kind of decided to make an album on a whim. It was in the spring of 2013. I was working hard with real estate, and I was teaching, and things were going well, and I just needed to do something. I needed to record something.
The actual process happened really quickly. Alex was very decisive in that regard. He was like, okay, we're going to do a record, and I feel like maybe 3 months later it was booked.
Recording at Systems 2, it's one of the better recording studios, I would say, in Brooklyn, so it was an investment as far as paying the musicians, investing in the studio, mixing and mastering, but I was prepared for the costs and just said I needed to throw caution to the wind and just do it.
Did you come up with a name for the record yet?
Oh, the album title is First Step.
First Step?
Yeah, First Step.
Recording sessions are very interesting to me because they put all sorts of different kinds of pressure on you as a performer that maybe you wouldn't necessarily feel performing live. First of all, they take away the audience, so you kind of lack the energy of performing for people. Secondly, it's hard to not think about the things going through your head laying down a track in a studio because, you know, obviously you realize that this is being recorded and it's going to be finalized and that's it. It's going to be heard forever and ever and ever after this. So it's kind of a lot of a pressure if you let it get to you, but I think like anything, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get.
Oh, thanks.
I try to just keep the same mindset that I have while performing of really just focusing on the music and not letting any of that other noise kind of get in the way of letting the music happen.
Yeah, you never have to worry about anything if Alex is on the gig. He's got it. There's nothing to worry about. You can give him anything, and he's always going to sound great. Case in point, a lot of the tunes that we play in Lucas's Nonet have these blowing forms that are very unusual, and Alex is just someone that can always bring life out of these forms, these extremely difficult forms, in ways that really nobody else could. So he's really above and beyond the normal level of what the alto saxophone can do.
Yeah, I am rather self-critical. At the end of the day, if I put on a recording of myself and then I put on a recording of Train or I put on a recording of Bird, there's just to me there's no comparison. It's a huge shadow to be cast under, but it really puts things in perspective for me as far as how much more there is to learn and how much more there is I can do. And even when I put on recordings of Bach or Beethoven or these guys, you know, there's so much to learn. It's just a lifetime, more than a lifetime's worth of study. So there's no time to be idle, and there's no time to not be pushing forward, you know? For me to stop being hard on myself would be to stop pushing forward, and I can't afford to do that.